1971 to 1974. Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Trawler.
Game 246, Reds at Cardinals.
Welcome back, baseball fans. 1971-74 Carryover League, and we are in the National League today with a best-of-7 series in the National League North, the toughest division in this baseball league, I believe. You got the Cincinnati Reds, your defending world champions, a Pittsburgh Pirate team who had the best record in 2 of these years, also won a World Series, and the Cardinals and Cubs are no slouches there. And it's been a wonderful series between the defending champs and a team who is playing tough baseball, trying to break through in this timeline. I'm talking about the St. Louis Cardinals. They don't have anything to show for it in this whole decade, really. But they are fighting like crazy to be relevant, and it shows, folks. This is some good baseball. Let's go to a game 1 that opens up in St. Louis in a best-of-7. Gary Nolan for the Reds, Bob Gibson for the Cardinals. This game does not disappoint. In the bottom of the 3rd inning, you get a single, and then Lou Brock hits a ground ball to Concepcion. Should have been a double play grounder, but it turns into a single off of 2 defense of Concepcion. And then you get a sac fly and a 2-out single. It's 2-0. Bottom of the 8th, Nolan is will pitch 8 innings, giving him 7 hits, but a 2-run homer with 2 outs. And that's all academic at that point. It's now 4-0 because Bob Gibson has just 5 hit the Big Red Machine, didn't walk a batter. Only 3 strikeouts. Interesting line. 9 innings, 5 hits, no runs or walks, 3 strikeouts, and a complete game for Bob Gibson. Just 5 batters over the minimum. And the Cardinals win game 1. 4-0. They're up in the series. Let's see if they can continue the magic in game 2. And the answer is they do continue. The Cardinals, they do it again. Sonny Siebert beats Don Gullett, struggling suddenly. Siebert, 8 innings, 5 hits and 4 runs. And Al Hrabowski in the 9th, tough closer, strikes out 2 in a scoreless 9th to get a save. Some interesting, we had a Johnny Bench sac fly in the 4th inning, a solo homer by him in the 7th, a 2-run homer by Hopkins. That's all the Reds could get. But really, the star of the Cardinals this year offensively, it isn't Joe Torre, it is Reggie Smith. 2 new acquisitions acquired from the Red Sox, an old Sonny Siebert and Reggie Smith. And Reggie's taken over the leadership role in this team, and he has delivered a grand slam home run in the 7th inning off of Pedro Bourboin to give the Cardinals a 6-4 victory and go up 2-0 in the series. So if they could actually pull out the remarkable and sweep the Reds, baseball would be turned upside down. So what happens when we go to Cincinnati? Game 3. It's Chris Short against Steve Busby. 2 pitchers didn't even pitch for their respective teams here. Busby is that American League pitcher that the Reds acquire who can pitch on 3 days of rest. Last year was Dick Bosman. This year it's Steve Busby. As the rest of baseball is making sure the Reds don't get a true ace. Could you imagine if this team had a Don Sutton, a Jim Palmer, a Steve Carlton, a Bob Gibson, etc., etc. Or a perhaps even younger Tom Seaver than the one they got in 77. But anyway, this turns into the Reds lighting up Chris Short. We have a Tony Perez homer. We have sloppy defense and error by first baseman Bill Sadakis playing opposition. We have homers by Lee May, a homer by John Vukovic, RBI single by Tony Perez. 9 runs in the middle innings. This game is over. Easy win for the Reds, getting back on track. 9-3 final. Busby, 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs. Doing okay. He's doing a little bit better than Dick Bosman did a year ago when the Reds won the World Series, with Bosman being the weak spot in the Red rotation. So let's see what happens in game number 4. Oh, this is going to be heartbreak for the Cardinals. Bob Gibson, Ross Grimsley. Gibson on short rest, obviously, after that opening series Game 1 shutout. In this game, in the third inning, Bobby Tolan singles. He steals second off of Ted Simmons. Then Tommy Helms bloops a single in to score. Tolan, ball game. That's it, folks. Ross Grimsley. He pitches 7 innings, scatters 6 hits, and then he comes out. He comes out after a leadoff double in the 8th inning. They pull him with a shutout because it's just a 1-0 game. They don't want him to lose against the big Bob Gibson. And Wayne Granger gets 3 straight outs in the 8th, and Clay Carroll gets a save, 3 outs in the 9th inning. Bob Gibson, scratching his head, has only given up 1 run in 2 starts and only has 1 win to show for it. 8 innings, 7 hits, a walk, 10 strikeouts in his second complete game. But the Reds do what the Reds do. They figure out how to win these games. This is what a playoff experienced team does when they need to put the pedal to the metal. Game 3, they did it with offense. Now they did it with pitching. And the series is tied 2 apiece. Going to Game 5. But here come the Cardinals. They're backs. They are not going to give up. They're not going to give up the fight against the Reds. Number 4 starter Scipio Spinks against Don Gullett on short rest. And again, Don Gullett getting knocked around. Cardinals, RBI ground out in the first. An RBI single by Brock in the second. Then 3 doubles in the 4th inning. And it's 4-zip. They add on a couple more in the 6th. 6 runs off of Gullett. And he says, no mas, no mas. And he says, I can't figure these Cardinals out. Scipio Spinks, a nice little starter 7 for the Cardinals in 72. Let him pitch 6 innings. He gives up 5 hits and 3 runs. Nice little setup work by Steve Barber and Chuck Taylor. And then when it comes to a save situation, Al Hrabowski matches what Clay Carroll does with the Reds. An easy 3 up and 3 down 9th inning with 2 strikeouts. And Al Hrabowski is showing how valuable a great closer is to a team trying to surprise everybody and win when they're not to. And Reggie Smith's offseason acquisition, Sonny Siebert. So far, so good. It's all paying off for the upstart St. Louis Cardinals. Is it too early to call these a Cinderella? I'm not sure. Because it's really hard to call the Cardinals a Cinderella. They're a good quality baseball team. They're just in a tough division. I mean, you put the Cardinals in that division with Arizona and Colorado, Las Vegas, Portland, Colorado, St. Louis, they'd probably win that division. But they're just, in a tough division, but they're ready. They're ready this year. We have a Game 6 today in St. Louis, and 7 if necessary. Today's pitchers for the Reds will be Gary Nolan. His outstanding 72, 15 wins and a 1.99 ERA in 176 innings. And for the Cardinals, it's Sonny Siebert. Here he is, folks, acquired from the Red Sox. This would be his last good year, and after this he turns kind of into a pumpkin. But it's a great year. 71 Siebert, 16 wins, a 2.91 ERA in 235 innings for the Red Sox. The Cardinals demanded him in the Rick Wise trade with the Red Sox, along with Reggie Smith and some other players. And they're hoping they can get 1 solid year out of Sonny Siebert to show for that trade. And so far, it's done well. He won earlier in the series. Let's get started from St. Louis. Both teams have tweaked their lineup slightly. Leading off, Gail Hopkins, the DH. He's batted all over this Red lineup looking for us, and he's hit very well for them this year. And 65 flies to left. Geronimo batting second today. He's also moved up in the lineup. 210. Let's take a look at his card. This is why they're moving him up. He's hitting well. A 281 hitter. For this team, the Reds, that's a nice batting average if you look closely. Matter of fact, let me read them all off. Take this moment. Hopkins, 278. Geronimo, 281. Now, Rose, 338. Bench, 270. May, 278. Perez, 269. Tolan, 283. Concepcion, 287. And Helms, 258. This Red offense is not nearly as destructive as it has been when they had all those 1970 cards in it. And you're kind of seeing it this year, folks. These Reds, not quite as potent. Somewhat big red machine, we'll call it. Anyway, 210 for Geronimo. Homer 1-11 double, and that has gone on a 9, and the Reds get a lead. Pete Rose. 38's a walk. Johnny Bench. 68 skies to center, and with 2 outs, it's Lee May. And 2-4 flies to center. Bottom of the first, it's Lou Brock. 65 flies to center. Bake McBride, 48 second X. You got Tommy Helms, a 1E10 at second base. Makes the play. Joe Torre, 34, rolls the third. Tony Perez, 37's a strikeout. Bobby Tolan moved down into the lineup as he's slumping a little bit. 2-4 is a grounder to short. Plus, he's also oddly better against lefties than righties in a reverse platoon. Dave Concepcion, 1-5's a single. Ace Steeler. I'll try a stolen base down in the series, trying to make something happen, and it does not work out. He's caught stealing by Ted Simmons. Bottom of the second inning, and here is Reggie Smith. Fans give him a nice ovation. They love their new slugger. 58 pops the second. The Cardinals, the way they got their thing cranking is they put 3 straight switch hitters in the middle of the lineup. Reggie Smith, Ted Simmons, and Bill Sadakis. Let's take a look now at Simmons. He's up, the middle switch hitter. Probably look at all of them throughout this game. 72, Ted Simmons hit .303, 16 home runs. He was still good defensively, throwing runners out before later part of the decade when he was really poor at that. But anyway, here's the pitch to Simmons. 2-9 base hit. Now you got Bill Sadakis. 65 off of Nolan, flies to center. And with 2 outs, it's Dwayne Anderson. 1-7 a strikeout. Cardinals did not get anything there. In the third, it's Tommy Helms. 59 short X. And Dwayne Anderson, not very good. A 4E34. And that's an error. Cardinals have poor infield defense, and that will probably cost them at some point in this season, I expect. Helms at first, back up top to Gale Hopkins. 58, short X again, and this time on the same roll we have a GVC. So no double play, no 2 outs. You have a runner at second with 1 out for Geronimo. 59, second C. The runner goes to third base now for Pete Rose. 3-6, and let's take a look at your 1973 National League Most Valuable Player. Yep, Pete's going to have to carry the Reds on his back as the best hitter against righties on the team, aside from Johnny Bench, of course. 338, and it's all mostly against righties, as you can see. And but the power's gone, and the base stealing is gone a little bit. Still has the defense, but here it's a nice 2-out single, and the Reds take a 2-0 lead. Johnny Bench. 3-6. Let's take a look at Johnny Bench's card. He's also an MVP, folks. A 1972 MVP. Don't throw dirt on this Reds team just because I complained about their batting average in the first inning. They can still hit homers and with everybody. 40 homers, the MVP of 72 at a tender age of 24, his second MVP award. 100 walks. My goodness. And that now makes it a 4-0 game. All with 2 outs. Lee May, 37's a strikeout. All right, Cardinals got some work to do today. Down 4. Bob Berta, 34 pitcher. Ted Sizemore, 45. Double. Runner at second for Lou Brock. 48. Second X, but it's Tommy Helms, a 1E10. Makes the play. Runner goes to third with 2 outs. Bake McBride. 67 is a K. It's a perfect illustration of what great defense can do. Tommy Helms made that play in that inning. Meanwhile, an error by Dwayne Anderson set up a 3-run rally for the Reds. Just infield shortstop, second base defense is critical. Tony Perez, 49, single and a 1, line out. Bobby Tolan, 210, pitcher. And Concepcion, 2-5, rolls to short. Bottom of the fourth, it's Joe Torre. 1-5, let's take a look at Joe Torre's card. Here it is, the 1971 Torre card. Last year we can use this card. And oh boy, there'll be a big drop-off after this, folks. Torre was your 71 National League MVP with 137 RBIs, 24 home runs, along with the gaudy 363 batting average. As your everyday third baseman, take those shin guards off, Joe. Let's run around, let's play in the field, let's get that batting average going. 1-5, it is gone, and the Cardinals are on the board. 4-1. Reggie Smith, 37's a walk. Here comes Ted Simmons. 1-5 is a 4-6-3 double play. And with 2 outs, it's Bill Sadakis. 1-7 is a strikeout. Well, it's a 4-1 game as we go to the 5th. Tommy Helms, 39, third. Gail Hopkins, 66, single on a 1, lines is short. My goodness. Sonny Siebert has single on a 1 on his card in 2 different spots against lefties and righties. Very unique. Geronimo, 59, second C. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
Okay, bottom of the 5th here in St. Louis of a 4-1 game. Dwayne Anderson, 55 off Nolan. Short X, 2E21 shortstop. And an Aaron Concepcion. That's a shame there. That's the best defense for him in the timeline. Gut does get better for Concepcion, but surprising error. Can that ignite these Cardinals? Bob Berta. 3-10's a walk. 2 men on for Ted Sizemore. 3-6 is a 6-4-3, a double play. Runner will go to third with 2 outs, and it's Lou Brock. 55 off Nolan, ground ball, second C. Gary Nolan doing Gary Nolan stuff. He was your World Series MVP a year ago, Gary Nolan, by winning 2 of the 4 games in complete game fashion as they beat the Oakland A's. So, top of the 6th, it's Pete Rose. 66, single on a 1 again, off Siebert. What a battler. What a tough pitcher. Johnny Bench, 39, is a walk. Lee May, 49, single on a 1 again, lines out. We're finding them lefties and righties, and with 2 outs. Tony Perez, 2-4, grounds a short. Sonny Siebert, rather disappointing 3rd inning where the 3 runs scored after 2 outs. And otherwise, we'd have a tie game. Bottom of the 6th, it's Bake McBride. 33, lines a second. Joe Torre, 2-5, flies left. Reggie Smith, 52, pops to second base. We go to the 7th, it's Bobby Tolan. 3-11, pops to third. Concepcion, 2-4, rolls to third. Tommy Helms, 4-4, center X. Your center fielder, Big McBride's a 2E4. Makes the play. Is there any more defense these big red machine guys can bring in? They got a third baseman, John Vukovic. Always hit below the Mendoza line, was always a 1 at third base. And Strat-O-Matic made his card, it seemingly every other year in the 1970s. They're going to bring John Vukovic in defensively for Gail Hopkins and move Perez to DH. And that'll be enough. Okay. Helping out Gary Nolan. 1 more defensive player. Okay, bottom of the 7th inning. Stretch time here in St. Louis of a 4-1 game. We have been enjoying Curtis Mayfield's 1974 Sweet Exorcist LP with Kung Fu, the song you're listening to now. Power to the People. Sweet Exorcist. Great LP. 1974 in the timeline. Curtis Mayfield and the Impressions. This is after he left the Impressions. Okay. Let's go to the bottom of the 7th. Gary Nolan's a starter 7. They like to get to him if they can here. Get him out of there. Get into the Red bullpen. Hope for better luck. Ted Simmons, 1-6 is a grounder to short. Bill Sadakis, same short, 1-6 again is a K for Sadakis. With 2 outs, Dwayne Anderson, 5'11", second X, Tommy Helms, a 1E10. That's what championship teams do. They secure that infield defense. We go to the 8th inning. Sonny Siebert has not given up a hit since the bench homer in the 4th inning, 3rd inning, and only surrendered 1, 2, 4 hits all day. 4-1 game. Siebert will continue, and it'll be John Ugovich leading off. 38 is a K. Geronimo, 59, second C. And with 2 outs, it's Pete Rose. 2-4, flies to right field. Sonny Siebert just dealing, folks. Just dealing. A 4-1 game, but so is Gary Nolan. In the bottom of the 8th, you have Clay Carroll. This year, he has blown 1 save. Last 2 years, 0 blown saves combined. And a 3-run lead. And it'll be Bob Berta leading it off. 39 is a walk. Ted Sizemore. 5'10" off Nolan is catcher's card. This is Johnny Bench, a 1E9. High E rating. It's a wild pitch foul out. Well, wild pitch off Nolan, not off the pass ball catcher. So runner moves to second base. For Lou Brock, let's take a look at Lou's card. We like this 71 Lou Brock card. 313 because he had 76 walks. His on-base percentage is one of the highest in his career. And so that's why we enjoy this card, particularly the walks on 5, 6, and 7 against righties. We'll take a walk. We need base runners. Anyway, the pitch to Lou Brock. 2-2, first B. Runner moves over to third base with 2 outs, and it's Bake McBride. Let's take a look at Bake Sale. 74, full season for Bake. 630 plate appearances and a 309 average. Good range, good base stealing and running. Needs to work on hitting left-handed pitchers better. He will later in this decade. He'll start crushing lefties better than righties. But right now, he hasn't quite figured them out yet. That won't apply here anyway. The pitch to Bake McBride. 65 off Nolan, flies to center field. Gary Nolan doing what Gary Nolan does. Put the Reds against the wall. Give me Gary Nolan. This is before he had missed a season with an arm injury. And he is amazing here. As we go to the 9th inning, Sonny Siebert is not going anywhere, folks. He has battled today, battled some bad luck, and he'll face Johnny Bench again in the 9th inning. 46 is a single. Now you got Lee May. 47 is a strikeout. Tony Perez. 68 is a fly ball to right, and with 2 outs, it's Bobby Tolan. 45 lines to third base. 4-1 into the bottom of the 9th. And Nolan's coming right back out there. We do have Clay Carroll warming, but they liked Gary Nolan to finish what he starts. He's really set up to succeed well against the switch hitters. He's better against left-handed batters. So once you get past Torrey, who homered in the 4th, he's looking forward to these battles. It'll be Joe Torre leading off. Here we go. 66. Flies to center. Reggie Smith. Let's take a look at the Reggie Smith card of 73. A 303 average. 21 home runs. Really interesting that he plays some center field, some right field, and some first base, all for the Cardinals in various situations. They do move him around to help the team out. Relating defensive replacements and substitutions and so forth. And he had a grand slam earlier in this series. Big moment here for Reggie Smith. 59, skies to center. And with 2 outs, it's Ted Simmons. Very quiet day, a single and a double play grounder. The pitch to Simba. 68 off Gary Nolan is a pop to first base. That's your ball game, folks. What a great pitching performance by both guys. And it's a real shame Sonny Siebert got the raw end of this one, folks. It is a 4-1 Cincinnati win. They have tied this series 3 games apiece. Wow. Great baseball, though. 2 teams fighting and clawing, respectively. So 5 hits for Siebert, 4 runs, only 1 is earned, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. He does get a complete game. And Gary Nolan does as well. 3 hits with a solo homer, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Great pitching. And the Reds are winning it this year with great pitching more than great hitting. Interesting. 1009, 0108, 4513, 4513, 2434. If they can get Don Gullett untracked, we've seen Gary Nolan pitch well. We have seen Ross Grimsley pitch well. Steve Busby's been decent, but it has been Gullett, the ace, who has struggled for the Reds. We'll look at the composite box for these two squads. The series is back, just like Maxine Nightingale once said, get right back to where we started from. It is 0-0 in a winner-take-all Game 7. Wow. So the Cardinals are 10-7, hitting .264 with a .257 ERA. That's excellent for a low ERA. They need a little bit more than this batting average. Hrabowski has been a perfect closer with 4 saves. Bob Gibson is 4-1. I described that 1 loss to you. Sonny Siebert's 3-2. We just saw one of his 2 losses. Those guys are combined are 5 complete games. The batting averages, nothing really stands out other than collectively they should try and bring on up 10, 15 points. But now your Reds, they are 11-8. They are only hitting .237, but they've got a .303 ERA. Don Gullett is 2-3 this year with 22 earned runs allowed in 41 innings. But Nolan, Grimsley, and Busby are 7-3 combined. And offensively, Bench has actually Concepcion, in a rather odd plot twist, has 5 home runs this year for the Reds. Remarkable number early on. Hit every homer chance you could think. And he's tied with Lee May ahead of Johnny Bench, and that's pretty crazy. Bench does have 20 hits and 72 at-bats at about 286 or so. 11-8, 10-7. We'll have a Game 7. And when you look at this division, wow, look at this. Here we are. And this is really good news for the Pirates and Cubs that these two teams are beating each other up so that neither is really running away. They're both playing great baseball, though. But the Pirates, they could creep back into this mess. It's just a shame that some of these teams are going to miss the playoffs. They are all playing good baseball. This division looks like a mess, of course, the expansion division with just one team advancing. And we saw the Dodgers and Astros. The Dodgers are in trouble. But we will have a Game 7. We'll give you the results at the end of that. It'll be Steve Busby for the Reds. And it will be Bob Gibson, his 3rd start in the series. He's only given up 1 run in 2 of his starts. Can he give the Cardinals the series-winning Game 7? Tune in and we'll give you that result. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you at the end of the video. Well, baseball fans, here's your box score for Game 6, where the Reds beat the Cardinals 4-1. Gary Nolan beating Sonny Siebert, which set up a classic Game 7 for a regular season matchup between the Reds and Cardinals. Classic baseball that probably didn't exist during the timeline, but we made it exist through realignment. And this Game 7 does not disappoint. And as much as I railed on defense in the broadcast you just saw, let's see what happens in Game 7. My goodness, it is Steve Busby versus Bob Gibson. Huge advantage to the Cardinals. Bottom of the 1st, it pays off. A double by Brock, RBI single by Reddy Smith, 1-zip. Then in the top of the 2nd, you get a solo homer by Bench. It's 1-1. And now this is where the defense is going to rear its ugly head. Bottom of the 2nd inning. Comebacker to the mound after 2 outs. That's an error by Steve Busby. Brock triples him in. It's 2-1. Then in the 3rd inning, after a single by Helms, and Gale Hopkins hits a single off of Sizemore, his defense, and then Geronimo knocks him in. So it is 2-2. The whole game plays this way, folks. Bottom of the 5th, a single by McBride. After striking out Torrey, Busby gets a ground ball to Concepcion that should have ended the inning. Concepcion makes the error. That extends the inning, and Ted Simmons gets an RBI double. It's 3-2 Cardinals. In the 6th, Tony Perez, solo homer. It is 3-3. They're getting to Gibson today. They're getting their hits, and they're getting hits off of the defense, but they're getting to Gibson today unlike they've done previously. But in the bottom of the 6th, the Cardinals will do their biggest damage. Berta gets a single, a strikeout. And then Lou Brock gets a single, a sac fly by McBride. Torrey gets a hit off the defense, and then a hit by Reggie Smith. And they pull Busby after 5 2/3, 11 hits, 5 runs, only 3 are earned, 2 walks and 6 strikeouts. It is a 5-3 game. Gibson's going to stick around. In the 7th, after an out, a single by Hopkins, a fly out by Geronimo, and the tie run with 2 outs is Pete Rose. He rolls a 1-5 homer, 1-11, double the rest. Gets double the rest, but Gale Hopkins is leading off because he's been getting on and having a great year, and he did today, but he's only a 9-runner, so that's not going to score the runner. So with 2nd and 3rd down 2, they let Johnny Bench swing away, and he strikes out. In the 8th inning, the Reds get 2 batters on with 2 outs, and Tommy Helm strikes out. Then in the 9th inning of a 5-3 game, Bob Gibson's going to see if he can finish it. He gets Gale Hopkins out. Geronimo singles. Pete Rose singles him to 3rd base. Runners on the corners. They decide to pull Gibson so he can't lose in a 5-3 game for the great closer Al Robalski. Ground ball to the shortstop, Mike Tyson. He makes an error and a run scores. It's 5-4 with a tie run at 2nd. A ground out to 1st by Lee May. The tie run is at 3rd with 2 outs in a Game 7. Tony Perez, Al Robalski, and he strikes him out to end the game with a tie run at 3rd in Game 7. My goodness, folks, this would have been a heck of a World Series. The Cardinals did everything they could possibly do to get the Reds, and they nipped them at the end in a Game 7. And the Reds are like, yeah, you got us. You got us once. But you know what? The Cardinals also had home field advantage in this series, and if they meet again, the Reds would have home field advantage in the postseason tournament if they meet again, and possibly in the playoffs. So with that, the Cardinals find themselves a game ahead of the Reds in the National League North. Very competitive, very fun, enjoyable series with those defensive miscues notwithstanding. I didn't like those too much. Break up the Cardinals. They do win this series in 7 games, 4 games to 3. Thanks for checking this out, folks, and we'll see you next time.